Yes, Angel and Saloni,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
you may start now.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to day 2 of AI and I, the Global Virtual Summit on Ethics and Artificial Intelligence, organized by ICFI Education Schools, Dehradun, alongside Global Youth Peace Accord. Hey, Saloni, are you eager to get on with today's program?
Yes, I can't wait to see challenges that our presenters are eager to share with us and the unique, creative, innovative solutions they have to offer for each of the challenges. Day one was filled with the informative and enriching content by our chief guests and our speakers. But before that, why don't we do a quick recap of day one to refresh our participants?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Over the past 5 years, AI has played a major role in our lives, whether you know it or not. Regardless of the sector you're in, be it education, medical, law, or technology, AI has proven to play a significant role in the sectors, from something as common as a search engine to a machine that can help aid in surgeries. AI has proved its uses time and time again. This leads us to wonder whether a code of ethics should be crafted for AI. Software is going to be written by software, and AI is going to create the AIs. So it's about time that we get a code of ethics that really prioritizes ethical consideration at the beginning of design that will help both the creators and obviously the users because of its better sense of value alignment of technology. There may be a basic set of ethical principles to be followed, but based on the individual scenarios faced, they may be modified and embedded into the desired AI system. We create these technologies and we have to choose how we use them, or else we may end up being used by them. The idea of ethics in AI provides us a golden opportunity for deep introspection. Awareness and intent of the creators of the AI is not to be blind and not to ignore the negative possibilities, but to understand them upfront and make the world aware of them and to do what we can to mitigate their impact. The power of AI systems is that they infer a lot and are able to understand us better than we know ourselves. But machines won't be able to understand what we value unless we ourselves introspect and decide what is valuable to us. Ethics in AI helps us to reach that goal. We'd like to heartily welcome each and every one of you back to AI and I, the Global Virtual Summit on Ethics in Artificial Intelligence, conducted by ICFI Education School, Dehradun, along with Global Youth Peace Accord. AI and I is a 2-day virtual event, which is a platform created for you all to discuss on the theme of ethics in AI. On day 1 of AI and I, the Global Virtual Summit on Ethics in Artificial Intelligence, held on 20th October 2021, the event was initiated with an intro video through which the aim of AI and I event was portrayed. Following the intro video, the officials of the ICFI University, Dehradun, that is the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Hargopal Reddy, Professor Ayalu Sir of the ICFI University, Registrar of ICFI University, Brigadier Rajiv Sethi Sir, and Dr. Meena Bhandari, the Dean of ICFI Education School, addressed the August gathering. After the addressals by ICFI University officials, Ms. Natasha Pallavi, the founder of Global Youth Peace Accord, introduced GYPA and then welcomed our chief guest, Professor Peter G. Kirkstager, to the event. He gave us a descriptive explanation through his presentation about AI and the code of ethics used in it. Upon completion of his presentation, we had our speakers, Dr. Sahid Cholel, Dr. Jayashree Todkar, Advocate P.V. Shaheen, and Dr. Meena Bhandari, who described the applications of AI, challenges faced, and recent developments in their respective fields, which are technology, medical, law, and education. The day was filled with zeal and zest, with fruitful discussions with our speakers and participants discussing, asking questions, clarifying doubts, and having a wonderful time. But during all that excitement, we kind of lost track of time and didn't have much time for our presenters on day 1. But no worries, because now you got to digest all the information put forth by our speakers and got a fairer idea on what our theme, AI and I, Ethics in AI, is all about. We hope you were all able to come up with more deeper understanding of ethics in AI through day 1 of bent. I'd like to once again welcome you all to AI and I, the Global Summit on Ethics in Artificial Intelligence 2021.
We are at the beginning of golden age of AI. Recent advancements have already led to invention that previously lived in the realm of science fiction, and we have only scratched the surface of what's possible. Future AI is more about human emotions, compassion, values, and elimination of human sufferings. Now let's hand over the stage to our presenters who have come from all over the world to present the challenges they believe are crucial to tackle in the near future. So before we start with the first presenter, the rules for presentations are as follows. First, each presenter will be given 5 to 6 minutes to present his or her video. A small notification tone will be sounded when the presenter is 30 seconds before the time limit. I repeat, there will be a time limit of 5 to 6 minutes. So second rule is while presenting, the presenter's camera and mic are to be kept on. The third rule is all participants other than the single presenter are requested to keep their mics on mute and are expected to pen down points that they feel relevant and think of solutions that can be discussed during the group discussion followed by the presentations. The fourth rule is presenters, please note that there shall be minimum disturbances, issues from your side. In case of technical issues, presenters may be given a second chance to present their topic. Otherwise, they are expected to complete their presentation at their first go. The presenters will be marked by our mentors. So, all the best, everyone. Angel, over to you. You can call the first presenter now.
So our first presenter of the day is Jordan Mugabe from Kampala, Uganda, who will be presenting on technology with respect to AI. Jordan?
Good morning. Good morning. It's morning in Kampala. I don't know what time it is wherever you are. But my name is Jordan Mugabe. I am presenting on management. I'm kindly requesting to share my screen if you don't mind.
Yes, Mr. Mugabe, you can share your screen.
All right. My presentation is on management.
Before you start, you can turn on your cam also.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Okay. So my presentation is on management. My pitch is Echebitano, building businesses that last. So these are the brief contents of my presentation. As you can see on the screen, most businesses crash within the first 5 years of their existence. And this is something that is really close to me because I live in Kampala, Uganda, which is the most, as of 2016, was ranked the most enterprising country in the world. Unfortunately, even though we start the most businesses, more businesses crash and burn here than anywhere else in the world. So this is something that is close to me. There are several reasons why businesses fail. Some of them include poor planning, limited technical expertise, no access to capital, ineffective marketing, issues with scaling, issues of management, as you can see on the screen. But of course, this is I should say, on a broad spectrum. Very many different businesses fail for different reasons. For example, you find situations where in Kampala, someone is running a sole proprietorship business, but they're a student at university. So their university schedule cannot allow them to run their business effectively while they study, and something like that leads their business to crash. These are some statistics as regards to business failure. But the biggest issue with businesses, as you can see from the pie chart here, is cash problems and a lack of cash. The two of them combined make up more than any other reason, make up more than any other reason as to why businesses fail. And this is according to Visual Capitalists. So in as much as this is a Ugandan problem in specific, it's a global issue, because this is something that is being, I should say, challenging to business owners and startup people and entrepreneurs everywhere. So essentially, I concluded that businesses fail for one of two reasons: money and management. Whether it is a lack of money or a poor management of money, or maybe they just have issues with management, but I concluded that those two reasons are why businesses in particular fail. So it is not in refute that all the businesses that have made it big, any business anywhere, be it Apple, Google, be it Tesla, all the businesses that have made it big, they fix their 2 M's, as you can see here. So it can be done, it's not impossible, but it's painstaking and slow work. You can imagine a company like Uber that has been in existence only recently started making profits. So it's painstaking and slow work. Most people give up and some people have no idea how to begin. But imagine someone doing most of the work so you don't have to, you as the business owner. So you focus on the creative aspect of your business, the management aspect of your business. And we understand that with most startups, it's close to impossible to keep track of every transaction, record every expense, personal finances. It becomes a bit painstaking, especially in situations where you do not have the necessary infrastructure or the technical expertise with you. And that's where our AI solution comes in, because we know that sure, businesses fail, but what if yours does not have to? Because, and this is a small graph to attest to that, whereas other businesses start to crash after the first quarter, what if yours is just beginning to pick up steam? And our smart solution to that is Echevitano, a cloud-based management tool that allows you to track your financials and use that information to suggest modules that can grow your business and source capital. How Echevitano essentially works is we use 24 months to ascertain your optimal performance and capacity for growth. Then after those 24 months, because in those 24 months, ideally your business is doing well, your business is making money. Once those 24 months are done and the user is interested in going bigger, expanding their business, it gets better. We use your financials and we use your financial information to ascertain capacity for growth. And that capacity for growth is what we pitch to investors so that they can finance that growth. Because whereas many people have ideas, most of them don't have money. And the people that have money don't have ideas. So that's where our smart solution comes in. So essentially how it works is we enroll you on our system, we compute your data for about 24 months. Once you apply for expansion, we cross-reference your data through our algorithm, through our AI, and we help you source capital to grow your business. So essentially how Echevitano works, our business model is, since it's a cloud-based tool, we market on the tool itself, and we also charge a commission for our services, and that is how we make money. Even though adding value is our goal, this is still a business, and it must make commercial sense, otherwise there is no reason why it would exist. So this is our working business model. We charge, in an ideal situation, we charge a 5% net profit as a one-off towards your expansion. Then after that, we continue to charge you a service fee for using the service. So who are our target users for Echevitano? I'm sorry, is that a question? Yes, please.
You may continue, Mr. Mugabe. After you are done, you can have that question addressed. Okay.
All right. So who are our target users? Our target users are business owners. Business owners, these are people who essentially just want to make some money on the side, but they need that expertise that can help them to do it effectively. We're also looking at entrepreneurs, people that aren't just running a business, but they're adding value, people that are making a difference, people that are looking to do something for the world. And those are the entrepreneurs, people that are trying to offer a solution. Those are the people that we're targeting essentially. And that's on the front end. Now on the back end, the people that we need to actually finance these business owners and entrepreneurs, we're looking at stockbrokers and investment bankers, because these are the people with access to resources. Whereas the people on the front end have the ideas, these other people have the resources to make those ideas big time. And it's those people that we pitch the financials from, the businesses that we're helping operate, it's those people that we pitch those financials and they ascertain if or not it is a valid investment based on their own objective criteria. And it is from there that we help these businesses grow. Yeah, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jordan. Would you please introduce yourself?
So that we can kind of get to know you a bit.
Yeah.
My name is Jordan Mugabi. I'm a student of law at Makerere University, Kampala, Uganda. I'm a tech enthusiast and a firm believer in enterprise and innovation, which is why I'm here at the AI and I Summit.
Yeah, your presentation was quite informative.
Thank you.
And I think we have a question from Gift Teresa as well. In case, Gift, if you'd like to unmute yourself and give a short intro of yourself, and then you can ask a question.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Gift.
Okay, my name is Gift Trizana Mtamba, same university with Jordan, doing law, Bachelor of Laws. Well, in Jordan's presentation, I don't think you considered the ethical concerns. So I was wondering, have you thought about it that if you're to give your data, thinking of a small business, if you're to give your data to the big businesses, they're going to profit more from it than you're going to profit from it. Have you considered that? So that's what I wanted to ask. If
Definitely.
you think of all the ethical concerns, what solution are we going to come up with, Jordan?
Definitely, it is not unheard of that big businesses are actually stealing small businesses' data through cloud-based tools such as this one. But the difference between Echevitano and any other cloud-based tool out there, such as IBM Watson, is that Echevitano is a tool that is run by the business owner in collaboration with the Echevitano team to actually add value and make a difference. And how this works is we are not just offering a product, we're offering technical expertise, because Echevitano as a service cannot run without technical expertise. So we're offering technical expertise from investment brokers, from lawyers, from tech enthusiasts, from innovators. So Echevitano as a service is an innovation tool that adds value. And because it adds value, it has that human input. And as a law student, I think you'd understand that I would make it a point to take the due diligence and to make sure that people's information is safe. Otherwise, if we're not a credible service, no one would want to partner with us and we can't make money. I don't know if I've effectively answered your question.
Give your mic.
Still no solution, but cool, we can move on.
Okay. So now why don't we move on to our next speaker? If anybody else has any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can move on. Anyone? Okay, so moving on to our next speaker, we have Akiso Lorna Mitchell, again from Uganda, Makerere University, and she'll be presenting on law with respect to AI. Akiso?
Hello. Can I be heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I share a screen, please?
Yep. Could you please turn on your camera as well? And you can give a short intro of yourself before you start. Akiso?
Can you view my screen?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
You may try sharing from the bottom of your screen. You will have that option of share screen, and then begin.
Okay, just a minute.
And just for the info for other attendees and those who are present over here, if in case if you have any question related to the presentations, you may raise your hand so that once the presentation is over, we can have your questions answered. by the presenters.
I'm kindly requesting, I'm having some issues. Can the next person?
Yes, sure. We'll move on to the presentation of Angel. I suppose she's here. We'll come back to Akiso later. So Akiso, you can try to sort out your technical thing.
All
Angel,
right, thank you.
Yes, Angel, are you there? Miss
Yes,
Angel?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you may introduce yourself to the presenter, switch on your cam, and you can
Sure.
begin with your presentation.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Angel and I'm studying in ICFI University and I'm pursuing for law. Today my topic for discussion will be artificial intelligence in terrorism. Shall I begin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any presentation to share or?
Yes, I have a presentation. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You may
So
make
basically
it
by
presenter's
now,
view. You may make it on presenter's view and then begin, okay?
sorry, I didn't.
Slideshow in the
I'm
top.
not getting that.
Slideshow.
Slideshow
top.
option.
This
Yeah.
one?
No, over there in the top, you see file, home, insert, design. Over
Yeah.
there in the far right, there's an option of slideshow.
Home,
Right side.
insert, design,
Yeah,
transition,
that.
animate.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Over there from beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I'll be dealing with the topic of artificial intelligence in terrorism. We have seen that from turning passenger planes into missiles in 2001 to using drones for dropping highly explosive IEDs, terrorism has come a long way and we don't know where it will go next. Good afternoon to one and all present here. Today my topic is how can artificial intelligence may be misused and give a way to terrorism. My first question would be that is AI the new weapon of terrorism? In Adrenum, are we underestimating the threat evolving around? Before getting into the main topic, I would like to ensure that, is it okay? Is my screen okay? It's like moving.
No, it's not moving.
Okay. So artificial intelligence is arguably the quintessential emerging technology of our time. But there is also a dark side of AI, a side that has not got the required attention and remains underexplored. We know that AI can be a new weapon for terrorism, and we are underestimating it, the threat evolving around us. The threat is not a stagnant theory, and terrorism is always an evolving threat. But before heading to the main issue, I would like to first give a crisp introduction about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the imitation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems. We have examples from Alexa to having recommendations on Netflix. It's all artificial intelligence present there. Basically, artificial intelligence is a program that can sense, reason, adapt, and work. It is a simulation of human intelligence. It can work like a human. Now, right now, in this point, in the present time, the artificial intelligence what we are using is of a narrow scope. Like the artificial intelligence is not developed enough to perform multiple tasks. It's now only limited to single task. But practicing and reusing of artificial intelligence can build a blockchain and can help in performing multiple tasks at the same time. Whereas we never expected artificial intelligence to grow this much, but at the same time, we don't even roll over that it can grow enough to replace humans. A survey was carried out by United Nations Counterterrorism Center, in which 27 countries took part. Out of the representatives of the government of the 27 countries, under industries, academia, international and regional organizations, 44% of the representatives felt that the malicious use of artificial intelligence for terrorist purpose was very likely, and 56% felt it was somewhat likely. To be noted that no surveyed participants felt that the malicious use of artificial intelligence in this manner was unlikely. It can be used, and I would like to highlight a point that it is still an underexplored topic. It is underestimated, and it could be a great threat to our national security. The 4 facts which were penned down by the survey as contributing to significantly in the malicious use of AI were democratization, scalability of AI, inherent asymmetry and terrorism and counterterrorism, growing social dependency on data and technology. Going on serially, democratization means spreading of artificial intelligence. Earlier, artificial intelligence was worked upon by few number of people who were master of it. Now, every individual can learn it, adapt it, and use it. Democratization basically means the transfer of a particular theory or a thing or a process of code from one place to another place. Now it's available to anyone, and especially terrorists with such bad mind presentations can use it more quickly, more swiftly than it could be sensed by the normal population. Scalability of AI, what are the higher chances of improvement in AI? We all know that by the time, by 2000, we had Google, and now we have so many apps to be used. This is the scalability of AI. Today, as we all have attended the last event, which was held day before yesterday, where Professor Shahid explained that how Google can make myriad searches in just 0.57 seconds, which shows that AI is still developing and growing and could replace AI with AI and AI with humans. Coming to the next point, inherent asymmetry and terrorism. What is the basic purpose of terrorism? Is to instill threat among the population, to keep a grasp on the population, to keep their threat live long. Even if a bomb attack fails, it inherits a threat among the people of the particular area or that country, and it also sends a message or a red alert to the whole nation, to the whole world. So even if the AI fails because of the non-usable authorities of the no knowledge of the terrorists, even if AI fails, even if they cannot perform well on the tech advances, they can still instill threat among the people, and their job is done because their main aim is to instill threat, to work upon it. Fourth is the growing societal dependency on data and technology, which basically means that we today are very much dependent upon the data and technology. We use everything. We used to Google everything. We search everything. The AI tracks us. We use GPS, which is the most used AI present, and we all use it. What does this do? It tracks our location. It gives our message. Our data are being sold, and we are much more now dependent on data and technology. This corona pandemic has also taught us many things. Earlier, even if we were not that dependent, now we are totally online. We use AI for here and then for every small purposes. So these were the 4 facts which were penned down by the survey as contributing significantly in the malicious use of artificial intelligence. How does AI invoke terrorism? Artificial intelligence today is used everywhere, from tracking your locations like GPS, from searching Netflix, from using Instagram, Facebook. AI is everywhere. You are being tracked. Every person is being tracked. And due to the least performance, as I said, today AI has a very narrow scope. It has a vulnerability present in it. It can be destroyed. It can be deferred for a malicious use. So here are some examples present where AI has been used to perform threatening tasks involved. Number 1 is the drone attack and biomimicking. By drone attack, we all know that India has faced first of its kinds of drone attack in 2021 on the Jammu Air Base, where 2 drones carrying highly explosive IEDs were dropped, injuring 2 to 4 soldiers. This was first of its kind in India, but this was not new to the whole world. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had a narrow escape after a drone flying towards him exploded a short distance away. New modes of sabotage and violence enabled by technology reduced our cost and risk of identification for terrorists while increasing their efficacy. Drone attacks could be seen, especially a drone with a camera involved could be a game changer. A swarm of drones could be used, their AI could be coded, and they could kill a specific person in the whole crowd, and nobody could know it. It has cost effects. It is definitely cheaper for them. Your identification is hidden, and it increases the efficacy of disaster. Second is information collection. As we have discussed earlier, the apps we use, the messages we follow, all collects information. It's easy. AI is not that developed. It is vulnerable to get thrashed, to get a bug and inherit all the informations present there. Second is virtual currencies. Same is the case with the virtual currencies. Today, we are very much into virtual currencies. We have Bitcoins, we have virtual currencies basically are the cryptocurrencies. And we all are very well aware of that digital coins available like Bitcoins, etc. Recently, there was a success of counterterrorism finance strategies to access official currencies has raised concerns of the terrorists that they might delve into the use of cryptocurrencies to support their activities. We have stopped the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, has tried to stop the use of resources to use of currencies of countries to promote terrorism. But cryptocurrency is giving another way to get the resources and inherit threat and to widely spread the threat. How it is doing it? Again, cryptocurrency is very vulnerable. You can mine cryptocurrency, you can get new amounts of money, which could be used to prepare anything. What is virtual currencies? Again, AI is involved. It contains AI. Social media, there's nothing new to discuss about the social media. It has been used as a platform to perform cases. It has been used as a platform to spread misinformations, which can create a chaos in a society. It is also an AI. It is also a product of an AI, which is being used to create a chaos. Again, I would like to repeat that the main aim of terrorism is to create chaos, to help, to create, to spread threats, which could be anything. Social media is of great help of spreading misinformations. It is of great help to spreading rumors, which can create chaos, which can threaten the people and inherit lives with threats. Moreover, by this, I know that this was not the first thing to be brought down before, and though not unanticipated, a new mode of terrorism for the country. We all know that AI will once grow and get into this form where our national security could be in threat. From turning, we all know that terrorism is evolving. Lastly, I would like to say that what was my aspect of presenting this presentation? It was to highlight the most underestimated use of AI, which could be of great threat to the national security, to make the society, to make the class of people aware of what could be the malicious use in a different way, which is still not explored, and how we can resolve it. Being a law student, I would like to resolve it with legality, with policies, and with how can society work in solving such issues? How can we work in separating AI or limit the use of AI, or to make policies which limit the assertivity of AI for not benefiting it to terrorism, making it not that autonomous and keeping a human limitation, like AI should not be autonomous at all, and keep a limitation by humans that humans still need AI to be developed, where AI can develop AI, but still there is a limitation where humans need to work on it. Concludingly, I would like to quote Stephen Hawking, where he said that computers will overtake humans with AI within the next 100 years. What next happens, we need to be sure that computers have goals aligned with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. That was a wonderful and informative presentation. And moving on to our next presenter, we have Hermann from Vellore, Tamil Nadu. And he will be
I suppose there were a few questions. Anyone who has any questions to ask to Angel, they can raise their hand and can ask instead of dropping personal messages.
Hey, I had one question lingering in my mind. So
Sure.
when you said,
Yes, Hemang.
AI can be used as a weapon.
Sorry.
Huh? Can you hear me?
Please proceed.
So I was saying that when you said AI can be used as a weapon, I was wondering, do you mean in a way where, for example, AI has been shown to have abilities to interfere with the processors which are required to function, let's say a laptop or a mobile? So would you have, if you have an imagination, that would it interfere with like the development of the internet, for example, if AI uses a weapon?
Yes. Yes, AI has always been used as a weapon, and as soon as we understand AI, the terrorist has been as soon as we sense AI, the terrorists are able to use it to track us, to use it against us, and to create a threat. Could you please repeat the next question you have said? Actually, I didn't get it.
That's pretty much it, I guess. I just wanted to
Or
ask.
is that in?
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Anyone? Okay, let's move forward.
So moving on, Hemang, we'd like to invite you to the floor. He hails from Vellore, Tamil Nadu, and he'll be speaking on the effect of AI in SDG and climate change. Hermann, you may introduce yourself and carry on with your presentation.
Yep, that's me. Small correction, I'm not from Tamil Nadu, I'm from Hyderabad. Small mistake from my last name, but okay. Hi there, everyone. I'm Hemang. I'm 14 years old. I'm from Hyderabad, and I dropped out of school at the age of, I believe, 8-9. And since then, I've been learning a lot about myself and doing a lot more about other stuff, basically, which is not doing normal education system, I would say that much. And today I'm going to speak about the impact of AI and climate change and SDGs. And so I don't really have any presentation, it's going to be oral, but I have 3 things that I wanted to talk about today. And the first thing is being about AI helping in agriculture. So India is very well known for being an agriculture country, and I kind of pride myself being a country where it's based on agriculture and very beautiful. But recent years, the development has been that it's, well, switching to industrial way, you say. And well, that's the issue, that we have such a prestigious land that we don't use for. And seeing that how recent changes in climate change has been affecting farmers a lot about their crop yield per month and year, it has been threatening their position to farm anymore. Where AI can help is having a little bit accurate predictions of how weather's going to be in few months or next month. So recently in the, I believe, district of AP, that's Andhra Pradesh, it has been said that a lot of farmers have been experiencing a lot of crop damage because it was non-expected rain at the moment. So when you're there, they couldn't collect it because they thought it's not going to rain, but it did rain. So it really got ruined over there. So I feel like if AI can be trained very prediction based, and if it can really go in a way where we can predict weather patterns, I believe it can be a big, huge help for farmers who are struggling with such a things like that, and plenty more, I would say. But this is one of the things that I care whether prediction is quite important, I would say. So that's the first one. Second one being is that the influence of SDGs on AI. So I guess as I was hearing about Angel, the previous participant, was speaking about how AI can be used for terrorism. I started seeing of myself that how it's AI. We talk about that. Oh, AI is like a big solution, but in reality, we are the creators of it. So having a contraction for every action what it makes is kind of, I would say, a guarantee that we don't get really wiped out like a Thanos movie, you see. So I said the point I'm trying to get into is that many of the SDGs goal that we want to reach, it's only possible by teamwork. But I'd say having tools which can help us predict things and make it possible are also quite welcoming, you say. And AI came out to be those tools. So recent examples, I would say, is so I was researching this quite from there. So I'm more focused on climate change. So I was focusing a little bit on the SDG goal out on that. So more is that how satellite imagery data was collected by a few college students, and they put it through their big algorithm data of weather patterns, and they were able to predict that, oh, it's going to have this much weather effect in this places. And that's quite actually a very great tool that think that, okay, so with this tool they'll be able to predict weather patterns here and temperature drops there and here. And that's quite fascinating for me, being the person who started off with tech and moved on to other things. But yeah, that's another fascinating thing I have is that how we can take tools that were mainly projects at that point. So, a little context about this project. So, it was made by an MIT, and they were three dudes talking together, and this made project when they felt bored. And now it has been one of those very open source tools which have kept capabilities of pretty much next CNET, you can call it that much. I wouldn't say it's CNET, but I mean enough computing units, that's pretty much CNET. So yeah, that's the first part. So tools with AI can help us a lot in advancing to the goals that we have to reach as soon as possible. So that's number two. And number three, well, you see there's a limit to everything, and as humans, not going to bash on anything, we're kind of they have a nickname of pushing everything, you see. uh you can have a recent example of how fossil fuels have been, so we have been dependent on that, and earth is basically giving us like, oh, all right, fine, time to act back on you. So yeah, they're facing the consequences on that one. So is that how we can connect to everyone? You see, when we say we work together, we can't just like, oh, okay, how do we work to many people? Like, how do we find them? Like, the first instinct of people is like, oh, go on online search of people. It's not very easy, you see. When I started out talking to people and finding out more about the solutions, I just was a random person searching up random things like, oh, how would I join this community and things like that. I feel like algorithms which can be set by AI and find like people together. It's already been used that how Google collects your data to better experience you, and they also earn money by that. But that's a different story. But it's how user behavior can interfere like new ads to join new communities. I've been following into many of these. I have joined a lot of communities based on Google's recommendations, and many of them actually were very good. One of my good friends, I met them via this Google ad who used to work on the servers. So, well, it's a quite good experience, but it also has its downfalls. But what I'm trying to say is that if more people are focused on such a serious topic, we can get like algorithms more refined, which can do these things. Like Brave's browser, which has been beta these days, is trying to do the same thing, is to have user-based experience, but not in a way which collects your data for selling for money. So that's another way that I recommend as a good tool to be used for. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hermann. So now anybody has any questions? Loved your presentation, Hermann. You had a unique topic as well, SDGs and climate change with AI. So
Hemang has shared one presentation personally, but then you didn't wanted to share it on screen. Is it Hemang?
I think there was
Well, I didn't feel like it's going to be, much
Okay.
of a change. So I'd
Okay.
like, okay, fine.
Okay, no worries. I'm sure everyone else connected with it. Anyone has any question can go ahead. Those who are participating, I hope we are all very much interacting on the topics which are discussed and presented by the presenters. The whole idea of the summit was to kind of interact, kind of discuss and brainstorm yourself, put your mind into the solutions and finding different ways and coming up with different views and ideas. So I'll be appreciating if people can be more in the interactive mode rather than just giving floor to one person completely.
Yeah, you guys can be free, like no one's gonna shout or anything. So be free, ask your questions, discuss, and be happy. Anybody? You guys want to ask Hemang some questions?
Hemang, did you connect your topic? I think it's pretty much close to COP 21. I mean, it was very much in news recently. So though it is connected with your topic, so I thought like I'll just.
Well,
have a
yeah,
view.
perhaps it is
Okay.
quite connected to COP21.
Yes.
But I wanted to go to COP21, but my visa got declined. So I'm like, okay, fine,
Okay.
time to stay in Hyderabad. So, yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go on to the next presenter. I suppose Akiso will be trying to connect here,
Yeah.
and then post her, I suppose the other presenters we cannot see. Do we have another presenter in line?
Yeah,
Angel?
Anita is
Okay.
there.
So we'll go with the group discussion where all these topics which were presented by the presenters will be deeply discussed during the group discussion time. So just I hope others are noting down the points and all so that we can have a brief description and discussion on this.
Okay, so Akiso, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we'll start with your presentation. Before that, just give a brief introduction of yourself. Akiso is from Uganda, Makerere University, and she'll be presenting on law. So Akiso, you can start off with a short intro of yourself and go on with your presentation. You're able to
I'm presenting on human rights.
Oh, in the form it was written as law. Okay. Fine.
Yes, I am. Can you see me? Am I being seen?
Yeah, we can see you.
How about my screen?
No, it's not.
Not yet.
You know what? Let me just, I think I will just discuss without sharing the screen. I go straight to it. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's fine.
completely.
That's perfectly okay.
Okay. So my name is Akiso Loda. I'm from Makerere University Law School. Let's say AI, artificial intelligence, or technology enthusiast. My interaction with technology has started from pop culture, movies, and that's it. I decided to get an insightful view of what technology is and, how it works, etc., etc. So I decided to join this summit, one, because I wanted to be informed more about what AI is and what other people's views are on it. And yeah, it has been good. The last session was quite insightful. The different professors who were pros in their sector and in AI were very insightful, and the discussants before me were quite insightful as well. So for me, understanding this whole topic and what the summit was about, we have to better understand what ethics are and what actually ethics is in line with artificial intelligence. Yes, artificial intelligence, just like technology, is in our lives right now. You know, we have to embrace it right now. It's either now or stay back, or you're behind or living under a rock. Now, to properly understand ethics, I will give you ethics seeks to answer questions like what is good or bad, what is right or wrong, what is justice, what is well, what is equality, and defining and recommending concepts of right and wrong, conduct by using conceptual analysis, thought experiences, and arguments. I would like to take you through what Plato's understanding of reasoning is, but I don't think that's relevant right now. There are three kinds of ethics, and to understand it, you have to look at meta ethics, normative, applied ethics, and to mention but a few. Now, eventually AI is obviously one day, if I am being optimistic, is supposed to carry out ethical relevant choices and possibly to be considered an ethical agent. Isaac Asimov, 1942, famously proposed 3 laws of robotics that would guide moral action of machines. One is a robot may not injure a person or through inaction allow a person to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except such orders that would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first and second laws. So it's supposed to be our enabler, our, like any other equipment that we use, it's supposed to enable us in work and not harm us. Kind of reminds me of Terminator and what happened and all that. Anyways, I'm here to tell you about how, yes, it's useful. Yes, it's I'm not saying it's terrible. I mean, the professors in the last summit told us how, it's very, very useful, and, we have to embrace it to ease our lives in the future. But we also have to look at it in a more of a cautious way, Yes, it is, it's good, it's what, but we have to look at it in a cautious way, basing on ethics. This is what the summit talks about, and that's it. I will quote what I think our guest of honor said at that time, and he quoted, I think, Hume. Hume stated that the moral norms or claims cannot be justified only by applying to facts, as Hume remarks that one cannot derive the odds from what is, what AI uses, which all of us know, is it uses data that is input. I'm getting feedback. Can I be heard?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's that you cannot, you cannot be ethical if you only have facts that are working for you. Now, I'll give you an ethical framework of technology. Traditionally, revolved around functionality, usability, efficiency, the ability of technologies. However, AI needs a broader discussion. It's a societal acceptability, its impact on morals and political consideration, how it shapes individuals and society. For example, if you look at privacy law, it evolved with technology. Previously, we had the right to be left alone and all that. Yes, it's being practiced now, but people share more. And what is private is it's on who it is. It's on the individual. Not everybody is as private as some other people. So if I delve into the rights now, the fairness and justice, I will quote philosopher John Rawls' remarks that stability of a society or a group of people depends upon the extent to which the members of that society feel that they are being treated in a just manner. You know, when a certain group of people feel that they are being, they're not as fair, they're not being treated as fair as other people, it raises instability in a society. Now, there are different kinds of justice, and to understand them, I'll just give you like a brief of sample of what the types of justice are. There's distributive, there's retributive, there's compensatory. Yes, now I'll go to discrimination because that's the topic. You might ask a question, how can artificial intelligence be actually discriminative? How can it actually be this? But I will give you an example, a scenario that artificial intelligence has actually fallen short. In 2014, Amazon started developing an internal algorithm system to streamline their recruitment process using the CVs of the past applicants as training data. The system would analyze incoming CVs and rate the candidates for further evaluation very quickly. Bottom line is this artificial intelligence was actually discriminating on women. The men were the ones who were being recruited in the company, and it was later discovered. And obviously, this is a violation of the Sidra Convention, the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. You're not supposed to. Article 8 says women are not supposed to be discriminated, basing either if it's an opportunity or a couple of things. But that's what that scenario said. I mean, that's that's how artificial intelligence fell short. Now, there is also this allocative harm. Now, allocative harms are situations where an individual is made worse off in terms of resources available to them, be it lower salary, be it denying them an opportunity for a job interview, and be it denying them credit, even such obstruction, risk, allocative harms. If we continue, I will also illustrate how, allocative harm also. In 2019, I think, yes, no, that's a fact, 2019, Wilson, Hermann, and Mogestan found that objects detected, on detection of algorithms are worse at recognizing dark-toned figures than light-toned people. So the researchers of Joy Winnie and Tim, I think they're German, and Timnit Jebro had also shown that facial recognition algorithms are noticeably worse at recognizing faces of people of color. And we all know what's going on. It's not right. It's a known fact. You should notice that we are not supposed to discriminate on color, race, culture, ethnic group, and all that. All people are equal, and we all are entitled to equal rights. So if artificial intelligence cannot actually do this for us, yes, it might, do its work, but is it doing it as efficiently as we want it to? These are questions that we're supposed to raise upon ourselves. We might embrace it all and brush it off, but the future is depending on us to look at these nitty-gritties, the small pieces, the things that actually make us who we are as human beings. You know what I mean? So, and also it raises the question, okay, well, if I create a car that's driverless, would it not notice a black person that's moving? And then, these are questions that we have to raise on ourselves and upon ourselves. I continue and state, you may ask the question, how does bias come about? But we also have, to answer that, you have to understand that all data that is inputted into a computer or whatever mechanism that you may use is historical data, is a product of time, place, political, economic, technical, and social climate. If you're not considering why your data exists and other data sets don't, you're doing data science wrong, if I may say. That's actually a quote by Melissa Terraz in 2019. Now, yeah, and we also look at the fact that most clear-cut way how computers are biased is when you enter into a system through a non-representative data set. You know, you may input all information that you may collect, but there are some people that are left out. You know, there are some people who are left out and are actually being discriminated upon. Yeah, and continuing to raise concerns about this is I'll talk about label bias. For example, predicting crime is a task which, if done well, would interest courts, police departments, and citizens alike. Unfortunately, crime is a difficult thing to measure, and thus good data sets are difficult to manufacture. What can we measure is things we have informational access to, like arrest and convictions. It may give a good sense of overall crime in a population, but it does not generalize well across groupings. In the United States, for example, Black people may be much more likely to be arrested on drugs charges than white people. But this doesn't mean that Black people are more likely to commit drug crimes, only that Black people are more likely to be caught, arrested, and dogged doing it. Thus, any inference about crime from such data will necessarily repeat and reinforce injustices which are brought about by the data itself. I think that makes sense, and it's quite elaborate by statement. Then there's also cultural awareness. You know, just like we can tell where this person comes from just by the speech, the way they speak, or how they look. You know, I don't think if that data is not put into this artificial intelligence, I mean, if it's not put into the database, it's these people are being discriminated upon, you know. The clearest example I would make is the ways data is made clean, involving these decisions about what is real signal as opposed to bothersome noise. If you go deeper, you'd say that some things are brushed off because it's not that relevant, and yet, you know, you are actually segregating a couple of people, or even a whole state, if I would say. Bias can thus enter into a system in many different ways, and the above, as I have elaborately explained, are the mechanisms that play how that can be done. Now, there's also a research that was done, and they were trying to find out, predict which gender this person associates with. It was from the Stanford Graduate School of Business, published a white paper detailing developing systems which could distinguish between, let's say, a heterosexual and a homosexual, and with accuracy of 81%. Now, critics raised an issue, and they claimed that this was pseudoscience of psychonomigy, which has a deep-rooted connection to history of racism. So this is like, they're trying to, grasp it just because it has an 81% chance of, predicting somebody's gender assignment or gender association, but it's actually not right. This computer was just looking at how these people groom their and how they. Yes, please.
Let me remind you that you are already exceeding your time. Would you please wrap up?
Let me wind up.
Yeah.
with just one statement. Just a minute. Okay, this is also an important point for everyone considering the ethics of AI systems. Be aware of the reductionism trap. That is, we should avoid reducing the concept of ethics to simplify or corner cutting counterfeit values like unbiasedness. Because AI systems take part in processing, which are much more complex than what the system itself does. Ethics cannot be measured by just looking at the input and the output value of algorithm. Thank you very much. This is me concluding my presentation. Yeah, thank you.
I think Mr. Jordan is having some queries, and then Ms. Gift. Yes.
Mr. Jordan, you may ask a question to Akiso.
Thank you, Lorna, for the insightful presentation. So my question is, your presentation alludes to reductionism as the biggest ethical issue with AI. So how do you suggest that maybe we could mitigate that? Do we need more inclusive data collection systems? Do we need that requires building entire new systems? Do we need to just collect more data? I don't know if you could maybe provide insight on that. What do you think would be the most effective solution?
Thank you, Jordan. This is, if I would say turning off AI or reduction in use of AI, it should be impossible because it's already engraved in our society and whatnot. What we need to do is be inclusive, not only to the most paramount population, but to everyone. You know, if data is collected once a year or annually, let it be, progressive collection of data and information. Yes, thank you.
Now, Gift Teresa also has a question. So Gift, if you could unmute yourself and ask your question.
Well, it's not really a question. I wanted to, I think it's an extension, an addition to what Akeso, I don't know, was speaking about. Well, if we're to include AI in the, if you're to think about the inclusion of AI in the fight of human rights, we actually have to consider the fact that there has been no algorithm that deals with the emotional state, the emotional issues relating to that. Like, let me say a robot cannot feel any feelings, maybe of sympathy, of anger, of love, and all that. It's actually just programmed to do what the controller says. So I don't know whether some of you are open to me speaking about fiction. Well, if you're to consider a movie like RoboCop, where a human was actually made into a robot, and he actually had to do away with the emotions and everything. If I'm to relate it to a happening event, it's recently in Tunisia where they deployed robot police to enforce the rules of COVID-19, the procedure for COVID-19. And it was not a good sight. On the streets, the robots were actually slapping children, not even thinking about the issue of that. So in that, I think it would be also an inclusion in the issue of human rights. They do not consider the basic human right of, let me say, innocence before proven guilty, because it will only act on what it has seen immediately. Yeah, I beg to submit.
Very nice idea shared over here. I think we all relate to that particular movie. And as she was speaking, Ms. Akiso was speaking about her presentation, I was relating the same. And very well spoken by Ms. Gift, as we need to cater those needs of making the difference between drawing that line where machines cannot feel the emotions. And when we imply these technologies in a real world, um, what will be the consequences and how far we are going to accept those and how we are handling the coming challenges. Very nice point taken up. I think Satvik was raising hand in between. So in continuation, if you want to kind of say something.
Yes, my question to the speaker. First of all, the speaker spoke very well, and you had a really important points to talk about. I want to ask if you have any points or any general advice on what the next step needs to be in technological development in terms of hardware that's required to improve AI and other related technologies. What should be the next step in advancing that?
Was that directed to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Like I said, like I told Jordan, it should be not a conclusive input of information and data. It should be a wide space, you know what I mean? Like a wide space, like inclusion of everybody and everything, you know? I cannot say that artificial intelligence, dare I say that it's not going to reach what we are capable of as human beings. We cannot make a copy of what we are. We are unique in ourselves. And what we should use artificial intelligence for is to enable us, not to be like us, you know? Because if we are trying to do that, we are trying to replace ourselves. And I don't think that's, you know, adequate or even important. Yes, but wide space inclusion of information, whichever, whatever, you know? Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Angel raised her hand. She has a question, I think. Angel, you may
No,
unmute.
actually, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to add something that it's very true that the human brain is the most complex thing we have. And to copy it exactly, it really needs time. So yes, we are unique, and I think artificial intelligence still need time to work as a human. We still don't know which brain part acts for what things, like what is mind, where it is. So yes, we still need time to develop artificial intelligence to that level.
Thank you, Angel. And thank you, Akisa, for your presentation, and Satvik and Jordan for all your questions. So now, Saloni, would you like to introduce our next speaker?
Yeah, we have Anita from Entebbe, Uganda. She's also from Makerere University. Anita, you may unmute yourself and please introduce yourself first.
Good morning. I'm Businje Anita from Makerere University as well in third year. And I'm going to be presenting on the effects of AI in climate change. So I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, please, you may share.
Hold on. Can you see the screen?
It's loading.
Yeah, it's loading. Just give it a minute.
So are you viewing it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is my presentation, Artificial Intelligence in Climate Change. And first of all, climate change, hold on.
You can switch to slideshow presentation view.
No, it's okay. Climate change is the long-term alteration of temperature and typical weather patterns in a place. Sustainable Development Goal 13 is about climate action and is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations in 2015. The goal, which is to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, has targets to be achieved by 2030. Within the past 2 decades, Uganda has experienced significant impacts of climate change, which include changing weather patterns, dropping water levels, and increased frequency of extreme weather events like floods as well as droughts. As climate change intensifies worldwide, from storms, intense floods, wildfires, and droughts, artificial intelligence and digital tools are increasingly being used to predict and limit its impacts. These machine-based learning systems use algorithms to identify patterns in datasets and make predictions, recommendations, or decisions in real or virtual settings. The RISE Fund, for example, is an impact investing arm of a private equity firm which invested $100 million in a data and AI-driven nowcasting system devised by Kentucky-based group startup Climavision to predict weather patterns with granular accuracy. Further, the situation around food security in Africa is becoming more serious due to climate change. However, AI has been deemed to be a disruptive technology that has the possibility to make impacts on development agenda. The main challenge is how the communication among farmers among farmers themselves, as well as between farmers and tech firms, which build the farming apps, can be accelerated in order to improve the productivity and revenue of farmers in the rural areas. These tech firms specializing in agriculture also rarely include the feature for predicting weather patterns that would be used of farmers. Most farming apps in Uganda, for example, Easy Farm, employ the the software mechanism of helping farmers improve their accessibility to like market systems and to be able to improve their quality, but they don't include the feature for predicting weather patterns that would help them to like calculate the seasons, the best seasons in which to be productive. So additionally, the storage and processing of data needed to fully train a large algorithm can consume large amounts of energy, as much as 284,000 kilograms or 626,000 pounds of carbon dioxide, according to a study conducted by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. This, according to researchers, is equivalent to nearly 5 times the life cycle emissions of a regular car. This, so the ethical conundrum here is that it proved detrimental to the environment since the increased power demand could lead to burning of more fossil fuels, which, as we all know, is one of the causes of climate change. It's detrimental to the environment. Then, additionally, this would make artificial intelligence an enabler and potentially a destroyer if the climate fight a destroyer of the climate fight because the need for rare earth materials to make the hardware has a destructive impact, according to Virginia Dignam, a professor in social and ethical AI at Sweden's Umeå University. Predictive outcomes are also bound to be biased depending on assumptions used in data inputs. So this basically means that according to the area, the data of the area you've used, the outcomes could be predictive based on like the past events and not on like current or future events, which is what we need. We need the system to be more predictive. Then furthermore, there is a challenge of political interference who disseminate adaptation technologies at district or lower levels. This is manifested as politically driven projects that aren't environmentally friendly, such as planting trees in wetlands. It's also shown during conflict of interest, where politicians attempt to save votes by either ignoring enforcement of policies to avoid antagonizing electorates or defending activities that are destructive to the environment, such as poaching timber from protected forests. So this basically means that people ignore climate change, and therefore, if it's not something urgent, especially politicians, they won't recognize the need to work on it and therefore to implore the use of AI in climate change. Conclusively, insufficient budgets are also a major problem in this category. Climate change funds might be available with donors and development partners, but accessing these funds requires that climate change issues are clearly articulated. Therefore, officials rarely succeed in securing climate funds from non-government sources. In Uganda, the non-government sources that provide funds include the World Health Organization, which is, I believe, under the United Nations. But most times, like to get support from our own government, it's very difficult because the climate change issues are not clearly articulated. According to district officials, the limited flexibility of the government for resource allocation to some of the unforeseeable climate change impacts constrains them from innovative adaptive planning. So, especially in Uganda, I think my fellow Ugandans know that there is a problem of corruption. And since climate change has basically been viewed as a problem that's not very urgent, these funds are usually misallocated or misused or embezzled. So so yeah, since the climate change impacts are apparently now not very imminent, people tend to postpone and misuse those funds, which will come back to bite us in the future because we've been neglecting the environment. And this is usually blamed on our government because it's popularly known for being corrupt. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita.
Welcome. Oh, sorry.
Okay, we have a presentation sent by one of our presenter. That was
There
Supratim
is no
Basu.
question raised for her, Miss Anita's presentation.
Yeah, there are no questions.
Okay.
Anybody?
I
If
don't
any of the
see any
presenters
hand
are there.
raising, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If not, then we can proceed.
Okay, yeah. So we have a presentation by our presenter who couldn't proceed with his presentation. He's not available right now, but we have his presentation. I'll share his presentation with you all. So here it is.
Do read out the details of the presenter first.
Okay. So Supratim Basu is an educator. Here is his presentation, Artificial Intelligence and Education. So what we can't deny, he wrote some points, the capacity to perform at a breakneck speed. E-learning is here to stay. Almost 86% of educators have either heard or used. Time management has become efficient and effective with the use of AI. Greater participation, we can see people are more participating, like you can realize that we have virtual meetings.
Yeah, even in case of international programs, we have people from all over the world without actually having to travel.
Yeah, like we are having right now the global summit. We are connecting with people worldwide. So you can see the use of AI here. And the last point he mentioned, assessment, feedback, evaluation process has become better. Yeah, we can get the feedback hand in hand. Like we are asking questions from our presenters right now, right here, and getting the feedback also. So the other slide which he has is, what are the challenges? So first challenge is, too much reliability on AI will result in further removal of human educator in future. Yeah, it's true that too much involvement of AI will lead to the removal of human educator. Like there will be no physical classes. The other thing he added, learning gap, issue of equity and accessibility.
Not all people can afford all the high-tech gadgets and stuff.
True.
So in rural areas, learning gap will be a lot.
Yeah, only the urban people who have the facility of internet and all that, they can afford. The third thing he mentioned is insufficient teacher training, that there will be insufficient teacher training. Teachers won't be that trained to educate. Okay. The next thing he added is automated tasks. The tasks will be done by the machines only. There will be a lack of efficient training or efficient tutoring. So if there, for example, if there is a topic, there will be just the overview of it. The real life examples or like stuff like that won't be, we won't be getting that thing from automated task. So next thing, there is slow paralyzing of human ability, reliability or addiction. So we won't be we would be paralyzing ourselves, our human ability, that we'll be fully reliable on virtual thing or AI thing. And next, he added lack of motivation to engage, dependence on AI. So there he mentioned that there will be lesser of motivation because there will be no physical interaction. There will be only the machines who will be teaching you. So you'll have to depend on AI. Last thing he added is huge economic burden for nations. Yeah, that's true. Only the people who can afford, they'll be attending the classes through AI, or we can say they'll learn the concepts through AI. So there will be huge economic burden on the countries as well, because you'll have to spend more on the stuff like internet thing and gadgets. So the next slide is learning gap. There will be learning gap. He shared his experience. Let's accept the real issues. Digital minority will lead to some bigger social, cultural, economic conflicts. So he's now mentioning that there will be a greater threat that we'll lack some social, ethical values and cultural values, and we'll have conflicts over it, because the thinking would be done by the AI only. Now, the educator will be AI. Whatever you teach, whatever you program AI, that AI will teach you. So it will there will be a lack of ethical learning. The last thing he mentioned is this is just the beginning. If we do not address this now, how will one tackle the monster? So he's now addressing AI as a monster. I don't think AI will be a monster, though it lacks a soul kind of thing, that it won't be thinking on its own like we humans do. Like we humans explain, it won't be that way. Still, we can't consider monster. Why would we consider AI monster? Okay, next thing. So he's thanking. Here's his picture. Supratim Basu. He's an educator, as I mentioned.
Okay, I think you have described, you both have taken up the presentation quite well. Though Satvik is having some query, but the point is the presenter is not here with us. You can still pose your question. I'm sure it will help people over here, those who are listening to this. They can think on that point. That's the whole idea, because that's where we are heading towards the group discussion. Yes, you can pose your question.
Sure, I'll just say my question out loud. If maybe it could be discussed in the group discussion later on.
Yes, please.
As the presentation slide mentioned that AI could be a monster, people could lose jobs, teachers could lose jobs, and essentially the teacher would be an AI. But I feel that the next stage of using artificial intelligence in education won't be actually replacing the teacher, rather assisting the teacher, as discussed by the dean of ICFI University in the previous session. AI would help teachers grade, AI would help teachers assign homework, and AI would help teachers identify what mistakes students are making. So I believe it will be more like an assistant rather than a complete replacement of teachers. Ultimately, human interaction would be needed in teaching.
Truly, I completely agree with what thoughtfulness you have shared just now. With that, we can open up for the group discussion, and people on the same thinking on the same line can add up to the thoughts, and we need to be more interactive over here. So first of all, I'll ask everyone to switch on their cams so that we can constantly see each other, those who are there, and and so we will be able to kind of connect and add on to the thoughts and the discussions that are going to proceed from here on. Yes, Angel and Saloni, you may lay out the group discussion points, and then possibly they will be able to come up and share their points.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure they must be having all the listeners over here must be having good ideas after seeing those good presentations from across the different countries. And there are attendees from different countries as well, those who can kind of address those thoughts. What do they think about it, and how do they think that what can be the solutions and all? Yes.
Okay, so as we all know,
solutions to new problems seldom come from the same place. So now we are all here gathered from different countries, different places, different backgrounds, and we can all discuss on the various ideas that we have with respect to different challenges, right? So moving on to the rules of the group discussion, we have the participants will discuss the most relevant and pressing issues related to ethical issues, the uses of AI through sharing stories, cutting edge research, and practical applications. Then participants will exchange their thoughts between research and practice through productive, moderated discussions. And participants are requested to kindly join for these group discussions, and you guys may be evaluated by the mentors. So you guys can turn on your cameras and start with the group discussion. Group discussion will be for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now the
We
floor
will
is
keep
open.
it short since there are few presenters over here. And I see there are few people who are completely involved, and I'm not sure if everyone is involved. So we'll keep it for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then we will proceed for Satvik's AI program on virtual reality.
Yeah.
That was a nice this thing, laugh, but then you can keep yourself on mute. Yes.
Sorry.
So would anybody like to start with the group discussion, like initiate the talk? Anyone?
You may pinpoint the highlights that you have noted down, Angel. I'm sure those points might help them to kind of initiate the ideas. The presenters, they have presented few beautiful points. In the shared drive, you have those points written, right? So you can read out those points, and then possibly they will be having better connection with those thoughts.
Hello?
Yes. Is that okay? So
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Just to maybe start off the conversation and whatnot. I don't forget, but I forget her name. She presented on terrorism, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So my question would be, her last statement was, she quoted Stephen Hawking's, will computers or machines take over someday? Will they, can it happen? Is it possible? And what can we do exactly to, prevent this eventuality? I hope Stephen Hawking is not a prophet or something.
Shall I say?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So in the present scenario, you cannot say, I don't see a future that AI will be leading the earth, but you cannot roll over it. You have to stick to the point that it's growing and it is developing. And what is the definition? Let's stick to the definition of AI, that it is the simulation of human intelligence. It's capable of performing tasks that typically inquire human intelligence. So you never know what's happening in the future, but by this time you cannot roll over the thought that it cannot overtake us. It actually, we have a complex brain, we are unique in ourselves, as you have mentioned. But again, we are only the ones who are developing AI. And yeah, and in fact, you can also say that in the beginning, one of our teammates of GYP also mentioned that there will be a time when AI will be developing AI and softwares will be coding other codes. So nothing is impossible, but let's hope.
I think it's already teaching itself, because my understanding.
Our concern would be that AI shouldn't be autonomous. There should be a human limitation added to it so that we can have a control over it. It cannot rule the world. But by now, it's developing, and you cannot roll over the thought that AI can be as efficient as humans. I think that satisfies your question.
I also think the fact that it's training itself, because my brief understanding of how it actually works is it's try and error, just like our neurons work. We think, but for us, instead of just basing on facts, we use reason. We use our spirit. I forget. I should get like a detailed understanding of what Plato's theory of reasoning is. facts backed, your belief backed by facts that will eventually give you reasoning. But not only that, there are three components. I think there is a spirit, there is emotion, and then there is, forgive me for that, and somebody can try and remind me of it. But just like we have talked about, we are supposed to control, this AI. We're supposed to be in charge of it, rather than us leaving it all to it, leaving everything to it. We have to have like a safeguard.
If I'm not wrong, you're talking about the superficial things, like we have spirits in us, we have mind, which is controlling us. So science doesn't believe in it. With due respect, science doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, and we believe in it. It's our belief. Science doesn't believe in it. They can develop things. By now, we have seen so much growth in AI. It's still a narrow scope. We still use AI for single task. It's not able to do multiple tasks. But again, there is a report by UN that continuous use and practice of AI could build a blockchain which could help them to grow and can use it for multiple tasks to perform. So you never know.
And Akiso, I think we have a couple of other hands raised. Now the conversation is about to get a bit more lively. So Jordan, Antika, Hermann, and Satvik. So let's hear Antika, Jordan, we've heard, and then we can move on to after as well.
I only had a very small question from Angel, that she said that we shouldn't make the AIs autonomous. So I just wanted to ask that there's this basic point behind it, that AI can only be as ethical as the man behind it.
Yes, so we are the developers.
The question being, you said, question is that, really sorry for the interruption. The question is that you said that it shouldn't be autonomous, and that currently, if it falls in the wrong hands, it could be weaponized and used for terrorism. But then we also know that as human beings, that the policies and the rules that we are making are also leading to the said terrorism that you talked about.
Yeah.
So what's to say that we as humans will not actually train them to be involved in those terrorist activities and not actually
yes, we are the ones who are dealing with it. We are the creators and the destroyers of artificial intelligence. So it's all in our hands. It's very true. But again, keeping a human limitation would help us. If you, for example, if a terrorist make an artificial intelligence device with an AI, which is autonomous, it cannot be solved. But if there is a missing, if there is a presence of human interference, we can solve it, we can stop it, or we can destroy it, right? So I think it would be easier for us. It can help us in destroying the process. I could say that.
If I may just add, that's where we are talking about the ethical use of AI.
Yeah.
So I think if someone has the same point to add up, they can join in. I see so many hands raising. So starting with Jordan, then Hemang and Satvik, and Miss Gift, and then Miss Akiso.
Hi. So I just want to clarify on a few things. First of all, I very much agree. I very much agree that AI is only as ethical as the man behind it. That's the same thought process that guides the idea that guns don't kill people. People with guns kill other people. So as people, we need to ensure that we're doing the right thing as we use this technology, but we also need to understand the capacity of the technology of our time. While I was doing my small research for my presentation, I realized that machine learning, while very adept at solving problems, it has a limit to it. It has a parameter to it. So machine learning can deal with a complex problem, a complex mathematical problem, but it, for example, cannot deal with a complex mathematical problem whose complexity keeps changing. I don't know if that makes sense. So I very much agree with yesterday's guest speaker. The professor who suggested that there will never be a point when AI is capable of emotion, I should say, because that's a complex problem whose complexity keeps changing. You understand? For example, in the morning you can be a bit gloomy, then at midday you're happy, then in the evening you're gloomy again.
It's the mind.
That changing pattern is something I am optimistic that AI will never be able to achieve that. But as I'll continue to agree with the previous speakers that suggest that it's only as ethical as the man behind it. So as humans, we need to set up policies, we need to set up safeguards, we need to set up infrastructures to make sure that the people that are building these systems, the people that are operating them, they have a humanitarian point of view and they have a humane perspective on development. And in such a way, we can ensure ethical use of AI. Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Now, Hermann, would you like to continue on?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I was quite interested by definition of AI. That's a simulation, you see, of human intelligence. And I kind of got wonder when you said using it as a weapon. And for some reason stuck in my brain now, but here I am. So I this is kind of awkward, but I kind of watch a lot of anime and kind of was thinking in a DDoS area where we can basically DDoS a server just DDoSing you, it's like a 1v1. Do you think if weapons such as AI are really weaponized, do you think we can battle AI with AI at that point, you know? Quite interesting.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course, we can battle AI with
I suppose as well.
Is used as a weapon. It can also be used for counterterrorism. It could be used to prevent terrorism and for the development and growth of the society, to keep us away from the threats. That's true.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think it's already being used in some places in the world.
It's being used.
Yeah, it's being used in some places in the world. For example, I understand that if you're on a no-fly list in the US, if you're on a no-fly list and a surveillance camera spots you, nearby law enforcement is notified and they come and like get you and stuff.
Social media is a very good, I'm really sorry to interfere you.
No, go ahead.
Social media is a very good example of the use of AI to stop the spread of the misinformation created to create a threat. Like there is AI used to put down the videos which are not useful, which have instilled threat in the society. So yes, we are using AI to stop the weaponizing of AI for terrorist purposes.
Interesting. That's quite interesting as well. If I put it into a scenario when I said like DDoS thing. So like there's a common technique to just DDoS the system, just protecting the actual object, you see. So usually, so this is kind of personal experience over here. I was kind of running a DDoS kind of service with 3 of my friends. So we kind of understood how the basics work. And after realizing how ridiculously hard it is, it's kind of understanding that if AI can be used to attack you multiple times in scenarios where you can't protect the thing you're supposed to be protecting, can you just be like outgone by like, for example, you was an AC-130. Can you really compare with your sniper with an AC-130? You know, so it's kind of not really fair, I would say, but at the same time, it's quite intelligent tool. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I suppose we have Miss Gift raising hand from quite long, and then
Satvik, Akiso, Gift, and Manasseh. Yeah.
Hello, am I on?
Yeah, we can hear you, Miss Gift.
Yeah, I completely agree with everybody who is saying that we are what we make, and what we make is who we actually are, you know? But when you say that AI cannot actually learn or maybe do things that we have not told it to do, the reason as to why we actually have this artificial intelligence is to ease our our work. Like if, for example, I'm looking for a case, or if I'm searching for a case on a particular thing, it will go and search and get it for me immediately. If, for example, I'm trying to figure out a solution or a complex equation, it will go and do it efficiently. Now, how this thing works, if I remember well in my research, is that it tries and errors. Now, recent information and recent developments in it is that it can actually come up with its own unique solution, So this unique, quite complex to solve situations. How do we actually tame it? How do we tame this? It's like, how do you put a leash on it? You know what I mean? And I think that's what should be our, point of focus in this whole thing. How do we tame this very vigorous thing that is moving at a very high speed? How do we actually do that? Because there's this something I've just searched right now just to remind myself. A very complex game that was played, and the AI was beating this person like hands down, and he's, I think, the top. Let me get it real quick. It's some gentleman called Ken G, the world's top Go player. It's a very complex, I think, board game that AI beat him hands down, and it was coming up with different solutions at a faster speed than we can. So how do we actually tame this thing? Yeah, that's what I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to Ms. Gift. Ms. Gift, you may unmute and start speaking.
Well, I wanted to disagree with all the previous speakers. I'm a pessimistic by nature. I read a lot of fiction and I do listen to it because we've seen a lot of times when fiction has actually told us what is actually going to happen. For instance, we can relate to Dan Brown's book, Inferno. It actually predicted the COVID-19. So when he comes and talks about AI taking over the human race, I'm terrified. I'm very terrified. In his book Origin, he actually does come up and say, just like the dinosaurs disappeared and the humans arrived on Earth, we evolved from being chimpanzees, monkeys, whatever, to become human. The machine time is coming. So it's going to be, I think it's predicted in like 100 years from now. So besides saying that the power of AI lies in the person creating it, I really feel there is going to be a time when it advances to a level that it's above us, it's beyond us. We cannot control it because we are giving it abilities to think better than we do. Because just as you had Akeso talk about a game that is being played and AI is way better than a human. They're doing things that we are literally been doing, like we've been doing it for a time, yes, but it is going to be better. At one point, I really believe it's going to surpass us and the machines will actually be thinking for us. So how do we do away with that? That is what I want to know. The ethics, we can deal with that at this level, but when it reaches that point, it will be beyond us.
Really interesting thought to actually ponder upon. Thank you, Ms. Gift. Now moving on to Ms. Sridevi Vempati.
Good afternoon. I have 2 points to point out. First one is during the human rights presentation, a point was noted that big companies were discriminating against employees, gender. So that point is actually explained in a different way. Actually, I can explain. It is brought out by AI. Because they started using AI, they came to know that more male employees were favored. So I think it was for AI, and even for for environment and this cause for this thing. If we use the data for our cause, to accumulate the data and predict environmental disasters, to avoid it. It is for us, that is for our benefit. It is that way we can say it is in the hands of the user who is using it politically or for destruction, who is using it. We have to be careful not to give it into those hands. Otherwise, I think we can use it for our benefit, for benefit of humankind. One more important thing is in education, it is never replaced by AI. I'm telling you, last year I have seen students missing the school and unable to cope up without human touch. That was, I can see children lagging behind because they were unable to communicate or they were not able to cope up without that touch, human touch and social interaction. They are very important in education. And of course, after crossing the level of college, you may have vast data and you can use AI to develop your knowledge. But until that level in education, human touch and educator is major role in developing the personality of a student. We cannot replace it with AI at any cost. Thank you.
I so appreciate this point. Being an educational professional, I so appreciate this point that it has been said. And we all educators believe that no matter how strong AI can become, it will never replace the teachers, even the nurses and doctors in medical field, those who have emotions in their profession so deeply involved that we have to be very catering to these different kinds of emotions and emotional building of the humans. So no matter how much it becomes empowered, how advanced we become in technological field, that is never going to take over. Yes, we have some other speakers as well. I think Satvik is also raising hand, and then I think Mansi ji didn't get the chance. She was raising hand before.
Yes, ma'am.
So first Mansi ji and then Satvik.
Yeah, ma'am, I was quite impressed by the presentations which were made. I wanted to say something about AI being used, in climate change. Somebody had given an presentation on that. So it was very impressive. And I feel that, yes, as Angel said, that AI has this negative thing, like it can be used in terrorism and, so many other things which are negative. But let us think on a positive note also. And I feel that there are, in a country like India, where you really need, a lot of things to be developed in technology when it comes to climate change. And, there are so many farmers who are getting affected because of this. So if AI can really help them out, then it would be really great. That's what I feel. And when Sridevi ma'am said about education, because even I'm going to be a teacher and I was a teacher. So I feel, yes, nobody can replace teachers. It's only that AI can help teachers in enhancing themselves and the future of the children. So that's what I wanted to add in. Thank you so much.
And I suppose the same goes for the people associated in law sector, because then you have to be very mindful, not being biased. That machine cannot learn, right? Even though technically all the things are in someone else's favor, I suppose there are chances where you have to cater to the emotions and the things involved very deeply, apart from the proofs and the things that you get on paper. I think the judge has a difficult job to do that, and the lawyer is kind of supporting on all those points. So yes, that was one of the points I wanted to add. Hemang is there. Sorry, Satvik and then Hemang, and then we can proceed for the next thing. Yes.
So I would like to bring up 3 points. First, I would like to echo the point brought up by Dr. Peter on the previous day, that he said that we should not use the term autonomous when describing AI, because AI in its essence is not autonomous, and I'll explain why. And we shouldn't relate the term ethics with AI directly rather with its core and with its people. I'm happy the discussion is going in that direction, and I feel it's very correct. This is because artificial intelligence, when we code artificial intelligence, we don't give it complete freedom to do good and bad things. Only once an entity has complete freedom to do both good and bad things can we say that it has it can be ethical. We are not allowing AI to make ethical decisions. We're only allowing it to do certain tasks. We're not allowing it to do bad things, and hence ultimately the responsibility comes down to the code and to the people making the code. And that's the way the discussion is going forward, and I agree completely with that. Second, I would like to echo in the points brought by Miss Gift and Sri Devi. So I would like to raise the idea of whether we should allow extensive development of AI in the first place. Ultimately, okay, let me go on a little bit of tangent here. Guns there's a gun epidemic in the US. There are a lot of gun violence, and this is because there is a proliferation of guns in the US. Now, this is the solution to this problem is not to have good people with guns to gun down the gunmen themselves. The solution to this problem is removing guns entirely. Same was done in several countries like Australia. They had gun violence, and then the government brought back the guns, and the gun violence dropped down significantly. So the only way to solve the gun violence is to remove the guns entirely. Because ultimately we cannot control every single person out there, and we cannot jail every single person out there. When we come to artificial intelligence and the use of technology, it's even more difficult to control it. And thus, I believe that the only way to ensure that it doesn't get in the wrong hands is to limit its control in the first place, limit its access in the first place. How will we do this is the next question. And once again, there is a very thin line between its good and bad use. And in fact, I would say there's no line at all, because the same code could be used for discriminatory practices, but it could also be used for several big dangerous things as well. So I believe that AI must be controlled, and the proliferation of this technology must be controlled. How to do it is the next question, which we can discuss on.
I wish there was a world with no guns. That's a so sweet idea that there won't be any guns, there won't be any terrorism, there won't be any insecurity, and hence we will not need any security forces, and hence there won't be any casualties, and hence doctors will not be struggling in saving lives who are battling on the borders. So I think you just with your one sentence, you drop down 2-3 professions over there. Anyways, that is on the lighter note, but yes, there will be thoughts on that, and imagining that way, it's good. The point said by Satvik about the ethics related to the AI, there the point he already addressed his own statement lately, that it's who is controlling it. It's who is controlling it. Definitely the AI is AI. It is not thinking or doing anything. It was not even there. So the point is who is having the control in coming times. In the generation which is coming coming up now, you people will be holding the control, and how ethically you think, so that you use it ethically in future. That's the point. And how well we believe in our minds that this is how we should employ AI in helping us in various fields, in various sectors, so that it just remains under our control to control it, and make the things easier and better in so and so scenarios. Say in possibly in law, it can only do certain things. We cannot put AI to make decisions over there. Rather, it can make made useful in reading the entire case and entire file and getting the important points possibly. So that is kind of facilitating us in making the decisions easier, faster, more efficient, unbiased. That is in our hands, definitely. So that's the whole idea, right? Anyone would like to share any idea, or else we'll go for conclusion? I suppose Angel can conclude lately.
Okay, so
Simran ji is raising hand.
yes, ma'am. So adding to the point of Mansi ma'am, what she said, in climate change, the AI could help the farmers, but but it's not just the farmers that AI would help, but to the normal citizens as well, to everyone who is in any profession when it comes to climate change, because I believe that climate change is the biggest cause to the natural calamities that arise. Because like 2 days before only, I am from Uttarakhand in India, and we witnessed a very heavy flood here, and it bringing damage to so many people and the lives. So if the AI could help in the climate change before only, being it the weather predictions or anything, it can help saving the lives of so many people, and to the damage that can cause to the lives of so many people. So it's not just the farmers that it would help, but to the normal people and normal citizens as well.
Okay, very true, very true. Even the situations which are arising, I suppose everyone in different parts of the world who are over here, you would relate to this particular point, because we are seeing those changes and drifts in very short period of time. At present, I'm in Dehradun, Uttarakhand, and I can see the kind of drift in the change. The pattern, weather pattern, has completely changed. The amount of rainfall, or the kind of landslides and earthquakes that are happening very frequently in areas where it shouldn't happen, or it never happened before. So I think it's a alarming sign for all of us. And Hemang would add points on that. I suppose he is the best person to address this. Yes.
Yes.
I guess it's my turn. So yeah, for climate change, sure, it's quite well. That's the issue. You see, it's very unpredictable. Things supposed to not be happening are happening. So that's the scary part. And like I mentioned before, we can use AI as a prediction tool, but we can't rely on that, because even predictions, the best of the best, have their own flaws, you see. So I don't know if anyone heard this. So one of my grandpa said this: you can predict your future however you like, but one small misstep and everything goes to waste. So from going from that quote, I would say yes. Let's see. So is limitation, as I like call, as humans. Even if we program it with all the best data available in this world about climate change, weather patterns, and how weather changes day to time, and how the temperature drops, it still can't predict. Like, okay, we can, like, okay, but prediction, we can have success rate of at least 40 to 50%. This, I think, is a good standard point, I would say. More than that, it's kind of hard to take in, because even seeing how the nature has been reacting lately, it's very hard to say that we can predict its moves, but I guess we have hope. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Okay. I think that will be all for the group discussion, and I think it went on well. We were all involved over here, and carrying out the thoughts which were not there in mind very evidently. Now we actually think on the solutions. That's the main objective of this whole summit, where we start thinking and brainstorming more on this, rather than just talking about the challenges part. And since we are all on the same page, where we are all thinking about how can we ethically control it, or how can we better employ it, or how far we can go in giving AI more importance than human values or emotions. That's the thing which we should take away from this whole thing. And then Angel will kind of conclude, and then we will move on with Satwik's presentation. Yes, Angel.
I?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you.
Not me. Okay, so as we have listened to the learned speakers present over here, and we have noted down various points, how AI could be used in a how AI could be used for informative works, how it could be an advantage to the society, as well as we have also noted that how it can be misused, bringing on the negative aspect of something would lead to a bee in the mind, would create a bee in the mind, bee in the bulb, or a bee in the mind, that This can happen with when you are. This can happen when you are into it, like the terrorism aspect. I would like to say rather that this can happen once it is in your mind. You can of course have solutions now or later on, because now you can think upon it. So it was underexplored. Majorly, we also talked about how can AI be used in climate change purposes. How can it help in growth of the agriculture? Like India has very much uncertainties of rainfalls, high yield seeds performance. So how can AI help in agriculture, in climate change, and in of course, my topic, terrorism? In the end, I would like to say that AI is there, it's in the air. We all are swiftly developing ourselves into it, especially after the Wuhan pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic. We all are into AI, we are growing, and with us, the AI. Still, you cannot say that today, if today AI is not developed, tomorrow it will be the same. No, it cannot happen. But still, by now you do not see a presence, but by tomorrow also you cannot roll over the thought that it will remain stagnant and cannot be used or misused. So I would like to thank the team members and everybody for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves here. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel, for concluding the group discussion. Okay, so we have Satvik here. I'd like to call him for his presentation on virtual reality and artificial intelligence. Please, Satvik, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Can I have the permission to screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, is the PPT visible now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
All right. So good afternoon. I'm Satvik Agrawal. I'm a high school graduate from the Indian High School, Dubai, and I'm currently in my gap year. I'll be pursuing electrical engineering starting next year. I'm very grateful to be given this platform to speak before several distinguished leaders, guest speakers, and participants. I would like to thank the teachers and Ms. Natasha and ICFI University. I'll be speaking on virtual reality and AI's role in making humans more empathetic. And throughout the presentation, I would encourage that everybody joins in the discussion and send in what you feel about the topic matter in the chat, or by simply unmuting yourself by raising your hands. Mixed reality is a broad form of interaction between humans and computers in which real or imaginary environment is simulated. In simple words, virtual reality is placing yourself in the world of code. This is a VR headset. You must be familiar with this. You place this and you view a virtual simulation, and what you're doing is you're putting yourself in the world of code. Artificial intelligence, artificial reality is placing code in the real world. What you do is you through a camera or through a phone and using a camera, you place a part of the code, a part of a simulation in the real world, and you view it using a camera. Over the next 10-20 minutes, I'll be talking about the connective link between artificial intelligence, virtual reality, AR, and empathy. Virtual reality enables us to enter experiences that we would otherwise not be able to do in a normal setting, like a classroom or even a hospital. A great example of this would be in the medical industry. With virtual reality, students can learn 3D imagery as well as performing examinations on virtual patients. I've conducted demo classes in my school where teachers supplemented learning by using VR headsets. We taught about 30 students in class 10. We taught them biology and physics. Many enthusiasts of virtual reality view the immersive technology as the ultimate empathy machine. Can you imagine that? Empathy just through technology that can help people relate with each other better than novels, TVs, or films can. So why is virtual reality touted as the ultimate empathy intervention? With its most ardent supporters saying that this is the next big thing in psychotherapy and in empathy interviews. Research published in Stanford Journal with nearly 5,000 participants concluded that different kinds of virtual experiences can increase empathy in users. Subgroup analysis revealed that virtual reality improved emotional empathy, but not cognitive empathy. In other words, virtual reality can arouse feelings of compassion and encouragement, and allows users to imagine other people's perspectives. Further analysis revealed that virtual reality was more effective at increasing empathy than less technologically advanced empathy interventions, such as reading and imagining about others' experiences. Let us now look at a filmmaker's attempt at recreating a more empathetic environment for delegates in the United Nations meeting. His findings were presented in a TEDx conference. This camera was used, and it's a special device with special mics which can record all sounds at once and record all images at once. The next video we'll see will involve him explaining his process that he used to make his film, and his film will be viewed in a non-360 viewed in a non-360 environment setting. Just a minute, I'll share my sound.
Take this and we build basically a sphere of a world that you inhabit. So what I'm going to show you is not a view into the world, it's basically the whole world stretched into a rectangle. So this film is called Clouds Over Sidra, and it was made in conjunction with our virtual reality company called Verse and the United Nations, and a co-collaborator named Gabo Aroro. And we went to a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan in December and shot the story of a 12-year-old girl there named Sidra. And her family fled Syria through the desert into Jordan, and she's been living in this camp for the last year and a half.
Next, let's view the short video clip from the movie Clouds of Sidra. It's voiced by the student named Sidra in Jordan's refugee camps.
My name is Sidra. I am 12 years old. I am in the 5th grade. I am from Syria in the Dar'a province in Khil City. I have lived here in the Zatari camp in Jordan for the last year and a half. I have a big family, 3 brothers. One is a baby. He cries a lot. I asked my father if I cried when I was a baby, and he says I did not. I think I was a stronger baby than my brother. I like cloudy days. I feel like I am under a cover, like a blanket. Our teachers sometimes pick students who do not raise their hands to answer. So everybody raises their hand, even if they do not know the answer. But I do my homework and I know the answer if she calls on me. Some kids don't go to school. They want to wait until we are back home in Syria. I think it is silly to wait. How will they remember anything? And there is nothing better to do here anyway. We have to play football quickly because there are so many kids waiting to play. Especially now. Unlike home, here in Zatari, girls can play football too. That makes us happy. There are more kids in Zatari than adults right now. Sometimes I think we are the ones in charge. I think being here for a year and a half has been long enough. I will not be 12 forever.
That was the short video clip from the movie Sidra, as played in the UNICEF summit. Clearly, that was a very touching movie, and it was viewed from the perspective of a person actually being there. So reading about her wouldn't be enough. Watching a movie in in a plain 2D movie wouldn't be enough. Placing yourself in a perspective of a person actually visiting there, albeit a tall person, because the viewpoint is quite high, really places you in the a point of view of a person over there, and it literally places you in the shoes of a person actually at one of those refugee camps with Syrian refugees in Jordan. I would encourage people to participate in discussions, and if you have any opinions on what you just saw, feel free to raise your hands, unmute yourselves, and voice your opinions and thoughts.
If I may, I think in this particular scenario, like feeling the feelings of refugees in the refugee camps on different locations in the entire world, feeling that whole situation through VR and through AI, it is possible. And so we can inculcate the feeling of empathy and make the children or the youth realize what is happening outside there, which we do not actually value, which we get easily in our daily lives. We are very much comfortable in particularly different situations. But then yes, feeling those situations of refugees in different camps, we can actually get into their shoes and understand what they go through. And so we start valuing emotions, human emotions, more than anything then. I think that is one of the points which I get very clearly through this kind of video.
Yes, and we can talk about the actual impact this movie has created. This was presented at the UNICEF summit and it's promoted by UNICEF Ireland. So what does this video actually do? Our topic of discussion is ethics in technology, and ethics here. So this video has allowed people and delegates who would otherwise never been actually in the situation. They would have just listened about the facts, the millions of people in the refugee camps, the millions of pounds of food and supplies that they demand. They wouldn't have actually felt the pain of that person or felt how it would be like living in that terrible situation. So being presented at these summits actually allows the delegations to make better decisions and more urgent decisions, which is how technology can help in improving human lives and the role ethics are playing in it. Are there any other opinions people would, that students would like to raise? Okay, let's look at the next present. Let's next look at the next topic. Can VR teach racial empathy? The disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on the people of color has shown us how racism and bias that lie at the root of health inequalities has a significant impact on our world. Let's learn more about the 1000 cut journey, an immersive virtual reality experience involving showcasing racism on a person who might otherwise never experience it. In this harsh virtual experience, viewers become Michael Sterling, a Black man encountering racism as a young child, adolescent, and then as a young adult. Courtney Coburn will discuss her work using virtual reality technology to build a racial empathy and findings of a recent study using the 1000 cut journey as a component of professional development, which means this could be employed in office spaces and office training. Let's now hear from the creators of the 1000 cut journey. Their work was presented at an event in Columbia University's Center for Science and Society.
You have now become Mike Sterling. Look at yourself in the mirror.
So the idea of 1000 cut journey is this notion that there are small and big things that happen all the time in a given life that create damage, that can have a negative impact on one's well-being, one's health. And so we sought to create an experience that would represent at least just a sliver of what some of that is from the perspective of a Black male named Michael Sterling. I wanted people to be able to walk in someone else's shoes, and virtual reality sounded like a way for people to do that. And using VR gave us an opportunity to think not just about very blatant things that someone may yell or say or do to you in this very explicit sense, but also ways that we can represent a mother's worry about whether you'll have a negative encounter with the police on the street, the types of content that you might observe on the news just in the background in a scene where you're seeing a news alert about an unarmed teen being killed by a police officer. So we really sought to try and capture both in-your-face type of experiences, but also subtleties and nuances that maybe not everyone picks up.
The work that we have done really looks to differentiate the effects of experiences in virtual reality versus other types of media. And so we not only create these experiences, but we also run rigorous academic studies to look at the impact of these experiences on people's attitudes and behaviors for others. And what we're looking at is trying to see, like, is VR a more powerful tool than other types of media? And typically the answer to that question we found has been yes. Something that we study in the lab is called embodiment, and how in virtual reality you're able to take the first person perspective of another person. So you can look down at your body and see that you're a different race or a different gender. And so what we find is that this sense of embodiment really lends itself to how much immersion you feel in the experience, and that we can induce something called body transfer. And this is the psychological feeling that you've become someone else.
I do think that virtual reality, as it continues to evolve, will become an important tool for helping us to understand experiences that are very different from our own in a way that other forms of media aren't capable of doing. And so, no, I don't think it will eradicate racism, but I do think it has the potential to be an important tool along the road to racial equality in our society.
Once again, virtual reality is being used. Once again, virtual reality is being used as a tool for empathy. It may not eradicate the problem, but it helps us be one step closer to understanding the problem. You no longer have to imagine someone else's experience. You no longer have to imagine someone else's perspective. You're thrust into someone else's shoes and forced to actually view their perspective. Thus, virtual reality can show us our cultural reality as it puts us in the shoes of a new person, literally changing our perspective. Thus, we can conclude that virtual reality has become a private space for your mind, a place for you to think. It can be a place for you to explore something uncomfortable in a protective simulation. Virtual worlds can be very removed from the real world or be labs to explore human behavior, which means it could be a completely imaginative world as used in gaming, or it could be something very realistic as we've just seen in the last video. Studies have shown that virtual reality is so distracting that it can be surprisingly effective painkiller compared with traditional medicine. Hence, it is used in psychological treatment. So all five senses are now tricked into thinking what is code is actually reality. Virtual reality is therefore a huge step in being an effective tool for empathy. Now, how can AI help? What is the main use of AI in aiding in virtual reality? Virtual reality and artificial intelligence are not new, and they have been interlinked for quite a while now. The use of VR to create simulated environments that we can submerge ourselves into is the role of VR. While AI aims to outfit technological devices with keen insight and perception of a responsive being. What this means is it allows technology to be better suited to an individual user. It can modify and personalize an individual's experience, and second and more importantly, it can improve the simulations and visuals. So joining together virtual reality and artificial intelligence could provide us with some incredible opportunities. It is exciting to think about what these two emerging fields will bring together. Let's look at an example of ways that virtual reality and AI can be used together in education and in gaming. So let's see the example of AI and VR entertainment. Virtual reality has dramatically changed the shape of the entertainment. Virtual reality headsets emerge gamers into simulated environments, so they actually feel like they're in the game, and lets thrill seekers experience a death-defying speeds and heights of roller coasters, for example. While virtual reality is already a dynamic part of the entertainment industry, as you've seen in movies and in games, the introduction of AI will make it even more exciting. AI would make the background characters in a video game more intelligent. These characters would be able to react to real life players. It would take gaming to a whole new level by making it more engaging and exciting. And ultimately, the second main use of artificial intelligence would be to improve graphics and graphic simulations in virtual reality. So, and what does it look like in education? The use of AR in education is quite literally, it makes people feel as if they're experiencing something that they will never be able to experience otherwise, and truly immerse themselves in the field of study. Teachers spend a lot of time actually motivating students to study a new concept. We're not always able to select the classes we take, and there are some compulsory classes, especially in our lower levels until grade 10. So teachers can actually teachers actually spend a lot of time motivating students to study a given topic, and students these days are automatically very tech savvy. So using technology in education, specifically using AR, motivates students to learn something that would otherwise be very boring to them. So the future of education is also quite exciting thanks to technological advances. Let's look at this interactive presentation. AR can be used to present different information in a more meaningful way. Here is a wonderful video explaining the working of the heart using a phone that utilized AR technology. These are the various body systems in the human body. The phone is being hovered around a given template, and these can be viewed through the screen of a phone, ultimately making the learning experience very exciting. And this is the working of heart. Not only is it very exciting, it's also it allows us to visualize things better and view the different components, separating out individual components and having a more clear view and better understanding of the topic. Certainly, it would have been exciting to have been used these kinds of technologies while we were in school, or while you guys were in school. Next, virtual field trips. While studying far off places that they would otherwise never be able to visit, AR can bring students to locations that they're studying in their history textbooks, and learn about times that they have never visited before. And ultimately, this again ties into the effect of technology and empathy. We no longer have to imagine those experiences. We are placed into those experiences, and hence can understand them better. Let's have a look at this video of a teacher in Texas discussing her use of VR for field trips.
For our first lesson, I wanted them to see famous libraries. I wanted them to see museums. We took them to a castle in France and in Stockholm. What I feel like the headset should do for our students is to experience a world outside of New Braunfels. To basically go on a virtual field trip just in our classroom here in Texas, for them to see all these different places around the world, it can expand their view. The lesson we did today is actually guided by the teacher. So I go into the teacher portal of Class VR and I set up all the images or the videos that I want the students to view. And I move them through the slides as we go. They can all see the same thing at the same time. However, within those slides in a 360 image, there's like a million things that they could be looking at all at once. The teacher side is able to click on a particular part of the photo or the video that they want the students to look at. The arrows then point them in that direction, and I can see every single headpiece that's looking at the image that I want them to at the same time. So that way everyone's looking at the same thing and noticing the same thing at the same time.
So we can clearly see that the teachers are effectively very much involved in the discussions and leading the classroom discussions, and students can be transported in different places. I see that someone has raised their hands. Would you like to add to some point of discussion?
Yes, I just want to ask a question out of curiosity. I mean, when we are visualizing the things directly, like you said in the field trips and all, we can visualize everything directly and see the things that the teachers are teaching us, whether it's history or something. But in that case, don't you think that creativity or innovation in the students might be affected in a way? Because in a normal scenario where, like, when we studied, we used to imagine what the scenario used to be like in those days. So do you think that creativity and innovation of students will be affected in that manner?
Okay, that's a really good question. So as technology advances, we are relying less on our memory. For example, we no longer have to memorize phone numbers. In fact, I don't remember a time where I used to memorize phone numbers. We are moving our part of our memories and a part of our abilities, and we are distributing that work to technology. One, that makes our jobs easier. We can now remember more important things, and rather we can free up our minds to reflect on and be better critical thinkers. That's one thing. Second, if this technology is making students rely less on their creativity, then that simply means that they need to apply their creativity in new ways. I'll come to that point, how they can apply their creativity in this field in the upcoming slides.
Okay, Satvik, can you please check your chat messages on the chat box?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thus, we have concluded that virtual reality is useful in empathy, education, various other sectors, and ultimately it can help us visualize and understand other people's perspective, other people's positions better. It helps students feel special and give specialized learning, and it also helps in not just students and also adults to effectively visualize new scenarios. Lastly, I would like to leave you with one question, that this technology will create a big divide in society at a very fundamental level. That is the education of young children. If someone would like to expand on this, if time permits, we can do that. And lastly, if you would like to learn more about the various fields in which AR and VR could be used, like art, filmmaking, newsmaking, classroom teaching, and self-guided learning, please visit this link. It contains several resources that you can use to create your own AR and VR content for yourselves. And it also has links to the video shown today. And to answer Ms. Angel's question, so now the students need to be more creative in the sense that we need to create their own VR and AR content and VR material. That way they can still enhance their creativity while utilizing this wonderful technology. So thank you so much for your kind attention. If you would like to reach out to me, here's my LinkedIn and my email address, hellosatvik@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to take any questions if time permits. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Satvik. That was a wonderful presentation and a very relatable content with the theme of the summit and an extendable, positive way of showing this. If we have Dr. Meena with us. So, ma'am, I would like to kind of address, make you do the addressing for the closing address, closing of the ceremony, because there were some beautiful presentations and all of them are in the thinking mode right now. So you may please conclude the whole summit.
Yes. Thank you so much, Natasha. It was a very well organized summit. And I must say, we learned so many new things from such young and enthusiastic participants. I would like to congratulate all of you for your participation, for your efforts. I know a lot of efforts must have gone down into preparing for this summit. And special thanks to Natasha, to Angel, to Saloni for coordinating the event in a meticulous fashion. And I must say it was really, really very, very enriching for all of us. Now, Satvik was the last one. I was really impressed with the presentation that he was making, and with such a, gentle and cool voice, he could answer it as if he's a seasoned, so young, but it looked as if he has been doing such presentations in the past also. So Satvik, your presentation was really very, very good, very enriching. We learned a lot from it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words.
Would love to have you participating in our future events also, Satvik.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would love to participate. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
That goes for all our participants who had actually participated, had their presentation done. Jordan from Kampala, Uganda, Makerere University, if I'm pronouncing that correct, he was talking of artificial intelligence and its use in economy and how it regulates and invests the money, how we can do so through AI. Then the question that was discussed with Gift Teresa on the ethical aspect of it with respect to law, that was great. Jordan, you have been a very, very enthusiastic participant. I have seen you from day one. It was really very good. Jordan, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Okay, Jordan. Yeah. So what are you doing at the moment? What are you pursuing? Which course?
I'm pursuing law with the intention to niche in the commercial aspect of it. I want to see how we can make businesses bigger and better, and how we can fix the economic divide between people of color and those that aren't.
Great, great. So your presentation was also really very good and helpful. Angel from ICFA University, Dehradun Law, she discussed about artificial intelligence and terrorism. It was well detailed, a very detailed presentation with all percentages, numbers, statistics, and it described how the technological artificial intelligence advancements may be misused in wrong hands. That is, if these things fall into the hands of terrorists, how it is going to actually harm it. There we will see the disadvantage of technology, the growing technology. She points out how Dr. Shahid's lines, good to see that she has been alert and attentive from the very first day. Somebody is speaking.
Thank you,
Yes. So Angel, that was very good. Your presentation was very good. Then I have some more points also. Then I think, Angel, you had taken up the topic of democratization also, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Scalability, the inherent asymmetry and terrorism, which is the need of the hour. We require such insight, such fruitful discussions from young participants like you who can actually make a constructive change in the society and with what is going on around us at the moment. So, it gives you so much of hope also that young people are actually focusing on such important aspects. So when they are focusing on that aspects, we are very sure that you'll be coming out with answers to the challenges also. So the growing societal dependence on the artificial intelligence, the technological aspect, and how artificial intelligence invokes terrorism, the drone, the attack, the biomimicking, the information collection, the virtual currency, cryptocurrency, social media, well-detailed explanation of the drone attack in Jammu and Kashmir. Very good, Angel. Keep it up. Then Hermann from Hyderabad. He is a self-learned student who spoke on the topic of artificial intelligence in SDGs and the climate change. And he explained without PPT, that is even more commendable. But he kept our participants keen and hooked to the topic. Now, showing PPT, I'm not demeaning anybody when I'm saying that, but showing PPT makes your job so much easy. But when you have to speak on a particular topic, you have to ensure that the participants are glued to what you're saying. They're taking interest in what you're saying. And that is exactly what Hermann did. He spoke freely and comfortably with us and had everybody, listening to him with rapt attention. Then there was Akiso Lorna, the human rights and artificial intelligence. Sorry? Okay, there is some somebody
I've
speaking.
muted. I've muted.
Okay, okay. So Akiso Lorna, she spoke on human rights and AI. She enjoyed day one of artificial intelligence and spoke on artificial intelligence in human rights. This again is a very pertinent, very relevant and a burning topic. Human rights is very important to create awareness, and the role that artificial intelligence plays in actually preserving and protecting our rights is very important. So it the aspects of law in her explanation, she quoted few people, brought into account different data also, thereby seeing that she's a keen, I could, like all other participants must have noticed and must be of the view that I have, that she is a keen and attentive reader who likes to increase her knowledge. She talks about discrimination on color. There was an active discussion after her presentation with Jordan, Akiso, Satwik, and Gift Teresa. Gift adds on to Akiso's topic with real-life examples of robots, cops introduced during the COVID pandemic. Well done, Akiso Lorna, very well presented. Then there was Anit Bazingji, I do not know how to pronounce the surname.
Miss
So I'll
Anita,
say
yes, Miss Anita was there. She also present. She is present over here right now, ma'am.
Anita. Oh, yes, it's Anita. Yes. So Anita, you talked about artificial intelligence and the climate change. Again, this is very important. See how we are experiencing the climate change nowadays in our daily lives, how we notice it and we do not know the reason, and how artificial intelligence is used to bring out the pattern of changes of climate in Uganda that it has faced in the recent past, the droughts and the floods. So the challenges faced there, the political interference affect the use of artificial intelligence with the climate change, insufficient budgets, the which lacks support to detect the climate challenge, the misallocated funds that you talked about, which neglects the environment. So your presentation was also very enriching and very, very good. Supratim Basu, he has not presented physically, but his presentation was presented by Saloni. He explained the use of artificial intelligence in education sector and also told if not used ethically as an assistant, it may prove to be a monster. So all these healthy discussions, so Supratim, very well done, very good. I wish you were there in person to present it. Maybe next time you will be there. So all these discussions were very good. But you know what we have to, the major takeaways is what we actually, what the presenters have done and what we can contribute in, you know, implementing actually. So this is just not a summit where you just present your paper. We have to take all these forward. When we take these forward, we have to implement it. We have to contribute and chip in our own way in which we can actually make changes and have you know, create difference in the society. So this is my request to all of you. Very well done. Please go ahead with it. This is just a beginning only, and I'm very sure that in future we will be having more such events. And thank you once again to all the organizers. Natasha ma'am, your initiative has been very good, has been fruitful. Whatever we had anticipated we'll get out of the summit, I think we've already got it. So all the participants, thank you very much. You will be receiving your certificates very shortly. And thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, over to Natasha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, participants. Thank you, participants. You may be receiving your certificates soon, within a week, as mentioned before. So I think that will be all from our end. In case if someone wants to share anything, you can speak, or else we will be done for today's event. I'm sure it is too lengthy for you, but it's great that you have hooked up onto these.
Natasha, I would like to add one point. If there are questions from the participants, they can send the questions on your mail, And, you can send to the respective participants and get the answers.
True, ma'am. I think the same I had asked them to do for the speakers, because they were having some relevant questions for the speakers. And let me tell you that the speakers lately replied to my mail saying that if the participants are having queries, they can send the mail and I can be facilitating the mails to and fro and give them a brief reply. So in case if you have please do connect. And you have my mail ID. You can send me the email with your questions and I'll get the answers to you. Thank you so much, Dr. Meena. Ma'am, you have been very much encouraging to all of us. And thank you for closing the ceremony for this summit. Thank you, participants. See you all. Have a great day.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.